Everybody knows about Grand Theft Auto, the long-running franchise built around breaking into cars and committing various other crimes. Whereas Magic the Gathering has a reputation for being a bit of a nerd game. Well, not anymore, because 1,000 of you voted and we're doing a war crime deck. That's right, a deck where we turn the Geneva Convention into a checklist and try to violate as much of it as I can in a single game. That's right, baby. The Magic the Gathering players are bad boys now. We're breaking the law, international law. But before we start breaking international law, if you can't already tell, I'm the most unhinged deck builder on the internet. So if you've got a weird, wacky, silly, goofy idea, challenge me in the comments down below. The one with the most upvotes, I have to build. And while you're down there, hey, leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, etc. I very much appreciate it. The Geneva Convention. It's basically the Sokovia Accords from the Civil War movie, but instead of superheroes, it's instead stopping the horrors of war from being repeated. So let's repeat those horrors and do some crime. Our commander is Marchesa, dealer of death, blue, black, red for a 3/4 human rogue. Whenever we commit a crime, thematic already, we may pay 1. And if we do, we look at the top 2, aka draw veil. We put 1 into our hand, 1 into the graveyard. It was a clever term. I liked it. But what is a crime in Magic the Gathering? Well, if you have an opponent and you target them, that's a crime. If you have something and you target that something that an opponent has, that's a crime. If you target anything in their graveyard, that is in fact a crime, and you're going away for a long time, buddy. But in my opinion, that is not enough of a crime. We need to go even higher than these. So we're going to the International Humanitarian Law Databases, Article 8 on war crimes. It's a war crime to breach the Geneva Convention, and you better believe it. We're starting off with willful killing. This is going to be very difficult to find. How are we going to do it? Massacre. 2 and 2 black. That's pretty willful, in my opinion. All creatures get -2/-2. That's going to do a lot of willful killing. Slaughter. 2 and 2 black. Destroy target non-black creature, and it can't be regenerated. And we can just use our own life to pay it back. Nice. There's also murder. I bet you were expecting this one. 1 and 2 black. Destroy target creature. Easy enough. Check that off the list. Geneva Convention. On to the next thing. We've got torture. Inhuman treatment, including biological experiments. Now, I'm sure this will be tough. How are we going to do this in Magic the Gathering? After all, it's a set about Bloomborough. They just have Spider-Man. There's not going to be any torture stuff, right? Oh, there's a 1 black spell called Torture. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. You just put a -1 counter on it, and it's kind of very evil, and the art is scary. I wasn't familiar with your game, Wizards of the Coast. You guys are kind of badass. That's kind of sweet. We also got Torture Pit. Who would have thought? It's 3 and a red. If you deal non-combat damage, it deals 2 more. Nice. Hired Torturer. Look at this guy. He's used that torture chamber before. He knows what he's up to. He's freaking me out. And of course, Wheel of Torture. It does damage to players. It's good. I like it. But yeah, torture, check that off the list, surprisingly enough. All right, next up is willfully causing great suffering. And this will be easy to include because, you guessed it, we got counter spells, baby. That's the easiest way to cause suffering to any Magic player I know, and it should be a crime. We've also got Suffering the Spell. Just destroy target land. Also, Angel of Suffering. It's 5 mana. If damage is dealt to us, we actually don't take that damage. We mill twice that many cards. We're immortal. And Suffer the Past. Exile a bunch of cards from somebody's graveyard and gain a bunch of life. Nice. And of course, to suffer even more, I threw in another counterspell. Arcane Denial, baby. Check it off the list. We're making people suffer. The Geneva Convention loves it. Now, moving on to extensive destruction and appropriation of property. Now, hopefully you can see where I'm going with this and what this means. It's time for land destruction, baby. We got stuff like Star of Extinction. 7 mana. Destroy their ancient tomb. And while we're at it, deal 20 damage to each creature. Everybody looks up and sees a giant meteor swarming them and destroying them. It's awesome. There's also Devastate. Destroy target land. Vandalize. Destroy target land. Seismic Shift. Destroy target land. Molten Rain. Rubble Reading, etc., etc. Now, unfortunately, because I want this deck to be lore accurate, not only do we need to destroy their land, we need to destroy their hospitals too. And why? Well, because of the secret tunnels. Let's be honest. Check that off the list. We're very good. We're compliant with war crimes. Now, the next war crime is, of course, compelling a prisoner of war or other protected person to serve in the forces of a hostile power. And this is easy in Magic the Gathering because we got threaten effects, where we untap target creature, gain control of it. It's sweet. Act of Treason, very good flavor. Traitor's Instinct, great flavor. Portent of Betrayal, great flavor. And Mark of Mutiny, all of them are great flavor. I'm a genius. Check it off the list. War crime completed. They are fighting for our amusement. You love to see it. Now, moving on, we've got willfully depriving a prisoner of war or other protected persons of the rights of a fair and regular trial. Now, this one was a little bit tough, in my opinion, but I figured it out. Illusion of choice. We're depriving them. We choose how each player votes this turn. We also draw a card. Very nice. So we're running some voting cards, like the Valiard, where now we vote an additional time. That makes it not fair, because now we have 2 votes, and most of our opponents only get 1. Genius. Truth or consequences is great. We draw a bunch of cards and do a bunch of damage to people. Nice. Mob Verdict is my favorite card ever. It's awesome, does damage, draws us cards. It's sweet. Capital Punishment. Now this one, let's pay attention to. Starting with you, each player votes for death or taxes. Hey, doesn't that sound like, it's violating the Geneva Convention? Anyway, Tyrant's Choice. Starting with you, each player votes for death or torture. If death gets more votes, each opponent sacks a creature. If torture gets more votes, each opponent loses 4 life. Wow, that card is awesome. But the real Tyrant's Choice is obviously whether or not we're going to kick Fallon off the air or Seth Meyers off the air first. Am I right? Topical check and trial thing check. Moving on, we've got unlawful deportation or transfer or unlawful confinement. And obviously, oubliette is probably the most unlawful confinement you've ever seen. It's 1 and 2 black. When it enters, target creature phases out until it leaves the battlefield. By the way, if this hits your commander, you can't put it back into your command zone. It's just phased out. Phasing is not like exile or the graveyard or whatever. It's nasty. It's so illegal. It's really bad. And oubliette actually means to forget in French, which is basically they just put you in a room and forget about you and leave you to die. It's really horrible. It's almost as evil and cruel as making fun of our president. Am I right? Ayo, 2 zingers, baby. That's right. We're on a roll here. We also got Aetherize, returning all attacking creatures to their owner's hand, getting them out, deporting them from the battlefield. Evacuation also does the same thing. And I threw an Ice Cage here for no other reason than the fact, let's be honest, fuck Ice Cage. The card definitely is what I'm talking about. Fuck Ice Cage. To be real, check that off the list. Moving on. Our next war crime is, of course, taking of hostages. And it took me a long time of thinking and reflecting to try and figure out a way to make this work in Magic until I found that there's a card called Hostage Taker, which just does exactly what the crime says. So 2 blue, black, 2, 3. When it enters, take something hostage and we can cast it. We're good. War crime completed. Easy enough. Time to speed run some of the more obscure war crimes, like pillaging. Nobody pillages stuff anymore. So breaches, eager pillager, 2 and a red. When a pirate we control attacks, we make a treasure, something can't block, and exile the top card of our library. We can play it this turn. Nice. Pillage, destroy target artifact or land. We have a lot of land destruction. It's nice. There's also Ramirez de Pietro. He's great. When he enters, we lose 2 life, but we make 2 treasure. And whenever 1 or more pirates we control deal combat damage to a player, we can yoink the top thing of their library, basically pillaging it. It's great. Poison is also against the Geneva Convention, so Direfleet Poisoner, you're going away for a long time. You Death Touch 2/2. There's also Hired Poisoner, you Death Touch 1/1. Aether Poisoner, you Death Touch 1/1. How could you possibly commit those horrible war crimes using poison? That's evil. But legally distinct from employing asphyxiating poisonous or other gases. I guess that's different. So, Toxic Deluge is obviously employing poisonous gases and liquids and stuff because, read the flavor text. Toxic Stench. Look at it, dude. That has got to be a poisonous gas. That is definitely against the Geneva Convention. And Marsh Gas. Look at it. There's a lot of gases that do a lot of stuff. It's cool. Now, speaking of quarters, we weren't talking about it before, but we need to talk about it now so I can segue into the fact that declaring no quarter is, in fact, a war crime. And there's a fun card called No Quarter in Magic. How awesome is that? It's 3 and a red. Whenever any creature blocks or is blocked by a creature with lesser power, destroy the creature with lesser power. That was easy. It's literally a spell called No Quarter. Love that. Now, on to executions, because passing of sentences and carrying out of executions without the previous blah, 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 don't execute people or it's a war crime. So Merciless Executioner, he should have had mercy. Execute should have not been cast. Public execution should have been behind closed doors because you can't execute in the public or else it's a war crime. Pretty nice. Now, of course, there's a lot of other ways of war crimes and a lot of other stuff, but for the sake of the deck, how do we win with the war crimes that we have? Well, we of course want to be lore accurate, so we are running propaganda, misdirection, and split the party, all of which will keep our opponents, hopefully, fighting each other. We need them to stay divided. If they realize that we may or may not be the arch enemy, That's very bad for us. So we've got shiny impetus. +2/+2 has to fight. When it fights, we monetize it. We show it on the news. The sound of drums does double damage. Has to fight. We can get it back from the graveyard. Very cool. And my favorite is, of course, Renegade Silent, a guy in a business suit who makes people fight each other. Love that. The idea is that if we keep our opponents fighting each other, they will be too busy to revolt. And they won't revolt against us, the people at the top who are getting paid big bucks to keep committing crimes. Marchesa pays us off when we commit a crime. Magda, the Lockheed Martin, pays us off when we commit crimes, giving us money. And we can use that money to make big planes that fly and do scary stuff. And of course, Gisa the Hellraiser. I don't have a funny thing for this one, but when we commit crime, we get good payoffs of the form of 2/2 blue-black zombie rogues. And that's really sweet. And they're stronger, so they're like 3/3s. Anyway, I digress. It's really good. Devastating people's lands is really fun. And active treasoning stuff is great. We love that. It's amazing. War crimes are super fun. But how do we win? And it's in italics, so you know it's not about the deck anymore. Well, in the wise words and mechanics of Marchesa the Black Rose, hey, maybe it's time to dethrone. We should all stand up against the people with the most life. You know, those upper 1% life gain decks that are exploiting and using lobbying in order to get the bills they want passed, even though politicians should be voting with their constituents. It doesn't matter. They are goading a political schism in order to keep the, conflict going like a hamster on a wheel because they are afraid of what happened in the olden times where, the life gain decks got countered very heavily by the mono red French decks. They hated that. They don't like those kind of gameplay styles. And so that's the thing we got to bring back. We got to realize, hey, they want us goaded against each other when in fact they are the arch enemy and they always will be. So that brings us to the end of the video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you subscribe, subscribe. If you want to do me a big favor, you can share this video around. YouTube algorithm is very crazy. We all saw what happened to Jimmy the Kibble and whatnot. There's also a Patreon if you want to support me. I would appreciate it, but it's not necessary. There's also Discord linked in the description down below. It's fun and free and awesome. And I hope to see you in the next one. Leave whatever comments you want, and whatever one gets the most votes, I got to build. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.